Abraham Kuyper, the great Dutch theologian, said this: "There is nothing in all of creation that Jesus doesn't look at and shout, 'Mine.'" There is this stark realization that God, through Jesus, owns, develops, grows, and calls all things back to himself. So what would happen if you and I, everyone in your small group, all the small groups in our churches, what if all of us embrace that idea that Jesus has? That realization that truly nothing is ours, but it is Christ's? That he does have dominion over it, that he is leading it in the same way that he leads every individual, that all of it is affected by his redemptive power, that all of it is being brought back into the usefulness of God, that all of it has a supernatural purpose? What if every one of us became a steward? This week is about you and your small group and maybe even envisioning what the future could be like in God's economy. First, let's review one last time. We started in this understanding of stewardship that the first thing that God is trying to do is really in us. He's inviting us into this exchange. His love and grace, all of the resources we have, life itself is given to us. He is working in us to develop that attitude or persona of a steward. We move then to the understanding of commission, that we come alongside of God, that we're always working with him, not asking him to come and work with us, understanding that his work in the world is the redemption of all things, bringing all things back to himself, and we get to be engaged with that alongside of him then as we're understanding our calling. All of our life experiences, our talents, our treasure, our sense of self, and our purpose, all wrapped up into this listening mode. Hearing him say, "Come and join me over here." Finding those unique places that you and I are designed to be specifically involved in. That then kind of working on even the emotional aspect of who we are. Letting our heart break for what's happening around us. Letting our compassion start to flow. Allowing ourselves to feel with the people around us. We move then to a real understanding of commitment. We've invested self, we've invested our heart, we've invested our time, but really what we've truly invested is only what God has invested in us. And we determine that we're going to stay with that. We're going to be committed. We're going to look for and wait for the long-term results, the change that comes about because of our commitment. Then we move to an understanding of being conformed. We're starting to understand at that point of commitment, what it's like to see the image of Jesus emerge in us because he committed his entire life. He stayed with us his entire life. And now, even as he sits at the right hand of the Father, he remains committed to the leadership so that the conformity, his image emerges out of us so that then we can find that celebration that comes when we realize that God has given to us that we might give back. And the real increase is in the joy that happens. The real increase, the value that's been developed, is that sense of celebration within God's economy and within his communities and between those that we have the privilege of serving. I hope you now understand our great exchange. God sending us his Son, God investing his very self in us, that we would give ourselves back to him. I hope you've grappled with and maybe come to some understanding of the great mystery, that God is chasing us, that God is pursuing us with the life of his Son. He doesn't want his stuff back. He doesn't want things. He wants our very soul, and he wants the increase of his creation to be joy and celebration, real, true, abundant life. What would happen if you, your group, your church emerged as the stewards that God has called us to be? I think what we find is a culture that would truly flourish, a culture that truly would find the life that God intended it to have. I'll tell you what, let's just start with you, with me, our small group, and our church. Wrestle with these issues. Let the Spirit lead you. This is Jim Liske. Thanks for joining me as we've explored our great exchange.